The internet gatekeepers of woodworking would like you to believe that you can't use biscuits, pocket screws, or dowels in quality projects. Ignore them, they're wrong. There are many examples of well-made furniture from generations ago that use some of these same joinery methods. The Shakers, for example, were well known for their quality craftsmanship, and they used pocket screws and dowels in some of their furniture. So don't let the frou-frou hoity-toity woodworkers of the world discourage you from creating something amazing just because you might not have the skills or the tools to cut dovetails or finger joints and so forth. You can make a lot of quality projects with biscuits, dowels, and pocket screws as long as you know how to use them properly. So consider this video your guide to these three types of joinery. We'll discuss them one at a time, including why you might choose one over the other, when you should use them, and when you should not use them. These next few minutes may just save your next project. A biscuit is a piece of compressed wood that fits into a slot cut by a biscuit joiner, which is sometimes also called a plate joiner. They were invented in the 1950s, but they really became mainstream because Norm Abram used one all the time on the New Yankee Workshop in the 80s and early 90s. Biscuits do add some strength to a joint because the grain direction of the biscuit runs perpendicular to the seam in some of the joints themselves. Take an edge joint, for example. The grain of the two boards runs parallel to the glue seam. The weakness is not the yellow glue you use to bond the two edges together. It's the natural glue, or the lignin, inside the wood that holds the individual fibers together. When lignin fails, the wood fibers separate, and that's when the joint comes apart. A biscuit introduces perpendicular grain that runs across that seam. So for a biscuit joint to fail, the fibers in the biscuit have to be severed. That's not so easy. I can break this biscuit along the grain, but there's no way I could break it across the grain with my fingers alone, even if I had more to hang on to, because the fibers themselves are much stronger than the lignin binding them together. It will break, but it takes a lot of leverage. That's the weakness of any joint, leverage. When enough leverage is introduced, any joint will fail. A biscuit is only 1/8 of an inch thick. It takes less leverage to break a biscuit than it does to break a dowel or a pocket screw or other forms of mechanical joinery, such as dovetails and finger joints. So biscuits are best used in situations where little leverage will be exerted upon them. For example, a cabinet that will be fixed to a wall will see almost no racking forces or leverage at its corners. So a biscuit may be a good choice to build wall cabinets. On the other hand, other types of casework, such as floor standing cabinets or bookshelves, may be moved around during their lifespan, and biscuit joints alone may not withstand all the stress. Table and chair legs especially have to withstand a great deal of racking forces. Imagine a person leaning backwards, tipping his chair onto its back legs. A biscuit would be a terrible choice in that situation. Where biscuits do shine is not so much for their added strength, but to help you align workpieces during glue-ups. This is where I use my biscuit joiner the most. It's been a lifesaver at times, such as when we had to force these thick boards straight when gluing up some wooden countertops. The bottom line on biscuits is they're good for alignment purposes and for non-structural joinery, but not so much for structural joints that may see a lot of leverage or racking forces. Dowels are significantly stronger than biscuits. They're essentially loose tenons, each end fitting into its own mortise. Like traditional mortise and tenon joinery, dowel joints can be very strong if they're properly made. Dowels benefit from the principle of strength in numbers. I can break a 1/4 inch dowel fairly easily, but it's much more difficult to break a bundle of them. Likewise, one dowel may create a joint that's strong enough for maybe a small project part, but larger workpieces may require larger dowels or even clusters of dowels. Do you see what I mean about dowels being very similar to traditional tenons? All three of these joints would be strong enough for virtually any furniture application, including structural joints on tables and chairs. The problem with dowel joinery is it has to be very precise. It's one thing to fit a single tenon into a single mortise. It's another to fit several dowels into several mortises at the same time. Everything has to be aligned perfectly because you're drilling holes in both mating workpieces. Alignment errors can quickly compound. And even if you manage to mash a poorly fitting dowel joint together, those inaccuracies can create gaps that then compromise the glue bond. So to create strong structural dowel joints, you need a very accurate jig. If you have a good jig and you know how to use it properly, Dowels are really no different than dominoes when it comes to strength. Where dowels do fall short, in my opinion, is in their convenience. It takes time to bore all those perfectly aligned holes, and the glue-up process can be messy. Pocket screws are like metal dowels that require no complex alignment, and glue is even optional. A pocket screw is many times stronger than a wooden dowel or a biscuit. I've never seen the screw itself fail. The weakness of a pocket screw joint is in the wood itself. While a dowel physically replaces any wood removed to create the hole, a pocket screw reduces the amount of wood around the screw head. That's why you can't cluster pocket screws together on the end of a rail as you can dowels. You'll simply remove too much wood when you create the pockets. So I don't recommend pocket screws for high-stress structural joints, such as chair and table legs, where a lot of leverage might be applied. But I love pocket screws for casework, including cabinet boxes, face frames, and built-in bookcases. Pocket screws are also very useful for solving difficult problems. Many times I've been able to slip a pocket screw into a tight spot to create a strong joint where conventional joinery would have been difficult or impossible. Pocket screws also allow for some wood movement, which makes them useful for attaching solid wood tabletops or other cross-grain joinery. They're wonderful for projects that you may wish to disassemble and modify at a later date because they can be used without glue. Perhaps my favorite thing, though, about pocket screw joinery is that no clamps are needed. In fact, I've used pocket screws in place of clamps to hold projects together while the glue in my traditional joinery dries. Admittedly, pocket screws come with a big downside. Unlike dowels and biscuits that are concealed within their joints, a screw pocket is unmistakable. They may be plugged, but unless you plan to paint the project, their locations have to be hidden through careful planning. There are obvious pros and cons to all three types of joinery. Biscuits are great for aligning project parts during glue-ups, but they add little structural strength to the project. Dowels may be structurally strong, especially when grouped together, but the holes have to be precisely bored with an accurate jig. And pocket screws are fast and easy for casework, face frames, and other joinery that will not be subjected to a great deal of leverage, but the holes have to be carefully hidden. There is a time for dovetails, finger joints, rabbets, dados, mortises, tenons. They're still fundamental joints of furniture making, and in some cases, there's no substitute for good traditional joinery. But when used properly, there is absolutely no reason why biscuits, dowels, and pocket screws shouldn't have a place in your workshop as well. Before I go, I have one more bit of advice for your shop. I've been a big fan of Milescraft for years because I think they just make clever tools but still at affordable prices. And this Joint Master is a great example. It's a doweling jig, but it really stood out to me for its high quality and the number of useful features that they pack into it for your money. First, the body is all metal. I didn't expect that at this price point. That's important though, because less flex means fewer misaligned holes. I was also surprised to find that it included in the box 3 hardened steel drill blocks for 3 different dowel sizes. So you have from a 1/4 inch or 6 millimeter all the way up to 3/8 or 10 millimeter. So this jig is going to grow with you in your projects. Unlike many jigs, this one lets you adjust the positions of the dowels so you can either center them on the edge or end of a workpiece or do multiple rows for stronger joints. And this works on workpieces from as thin as a 1/2 inch to as thick as 3 inches. They even thought to include spacers that match common wood thicknesses so you can quickly and accurately center the holes. And there's built-in stops for faster alignment near the ends and edges of workpieces. Another clever feature is the indexing slots. That makes it possible to do dowel holes in the center of a panel, but still align them with the mating holes on the edge of a workpiece. If you remove the clamping mechanism on the main body, this can be clamped to just about anything. That's great for repairs or tricky applications, making it really versatile, and it's another reason why I think this jig just gives you a lot of bang for your buck. But the real test for me was to do a double row joint, because it takes an accurate jig to get all of those pins to align perfectly so the joint will slide together. I've never done this with a jig in this price range before. I really think every shop should have some sort of doweling jig. If done properly, dowel joinery is strong and reliable, and it's also pretty fast and easy. This jig does it properly, and it does it for a surprisingly affordable price. Actually, I'm always surprised when I see the things that a company that's as small as Mildcraft can do, but this is a great example. You really should check it out at the link below, and let me know what you think.